Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love Rival Academies and PF2. So, Campfire Chronicler is what I'm covering today because it speaks to my heart. It's all about telling stories, and I have camped so many times in my life and told stories around the campfire and kind of wished they were like, they could come true. Anyway, I love this archetype for adventurers because you travel, and this would be an inherent part of adventuring. Also, since I'm running Stolen Fate every Friday, it's a live stream, that world that you're building in Stolen Fate, it's a different plane, is based on stories. So this archetype fits perfectly with what I'm already doing. So I like it. Campfire Chronicler. If you want to skip the lore and go right to the feats, go to this time. Otherwise, you follow in the footsteps of Istrali, an old god of Sarkoris dedicated to protecting and assisting travelers in return for a story of their journey. Though tales of... This is so hard. Istrali? That doesn't make sense either, but it's easier to pronounce. So I'm going to say Istrali. Those tales of Istrali himself are scarce. His gifts are still sometimes given to those who protect travelers and collect their stories. This tradition of chronicling, relearned from the ghost of a Sarkorian storyteller, I love the lore, has flourished at the Academy of the Reclamation. It's all about recovering stolen, or rather lost knowledge and plant life. It's a really cool concept. Many students who enter the Sarkoris Scar now travel under Istrali's name, both believing in the god's purpose and using his rediscovery as a symbol of the Reclamation's successes. Even that may be too small a scope, however, as travelers' tales come from far and wide. Many Campfire Chroniclers collect stories of other students who have returned to Sarkoris from afar, along with the stories of their families who were scattered following the opening of the World Wound. Big demon portal rift thing. Destroyed the land. It's a fun idea. The mysterious benefactor accepts all stories with a listening ear, leading to many late-night discussions among students about what truths might be hidden in tall tales and outright fabrications. Although Istrali accepts falsehoods without comment, he places no requirement on the chroniclers to do the same. In fact, Istrali has yet to provide guidance beyond the comforting warmth of his protection after stories are offered. It's just such a cool idea. The image on your screen is Magical Campfire. Just it's a great idea. I like this. Although Sarkorian traditions don't place importance on dividing their gods by power level or origin, some at the Academy of the Reclamation have begun to dig deeper into each of the gods' individual circumstances. The question of where Istrali came from has become a particularly popular one among students who hope that a god who so loves the stories of travelers wouldn't take offense at his own story being exposed. Makes sense to me. Students prying into these matters have found some success using magical sources of information. Most recently, Kobislarni's Echo Repository has revealed several tales of travelers and explorers who encountered a smiling figure far from any habitation. The reoccurring theme of weary travelers being offered a space next to the campfire in exchange for their tales has led several students to suggest that the wanderer is actually Istrali. Unfortunately, the sightings are so vastly spread, occurring between continents, in the first world of the Fae, or even on elemental planes, that they've provided little illumination of the god's origins. But I think it makes it more likely that it would be a god. At the Academy, Istrali's philosophy has expanded to include tenets to protect travelers' freedom of movement, be generous to others when possible, and seek wisdom in the experience of others. Although these aren't strictly necessary to gain or keep Istrali's favor, it's difficult to find a teacher among the Academy of the Reclamation without agreeing to these tenets. This philosophy of protecting travelers is generally seen to include the Convocation's guests in Nerosian. Istrali's Campfire Chroniclers are among the most obvious representatives of their Academy and the Convocation as a whole. Although surviving tales of the old god inspire campfire conversations on the exhibit grounds, his followers also listen to stories in bars, cafes, and the school's lodgings. Additional feats for this archetype: 8th level advanced domain, player core 117. I love anything that includes cleric domains because they're super powerful and flexible, and they're flavorful. They're full of the ability to increase or vary your character's theme. They're a great resource for storytelling. Which, of course, is what I love, which is my passion, which is why I like this archetype. Second level feat, Campfire Chronicler Dedication, Uncommon Archetype Dedication. You've gained Israeli's attention and can now offer stories up to him, either passing on your own stories or collecting those of travelers as he did. You become trained in religion and survival. For either of these skills in which you were already trained, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You gain the offer story reaction. I wish that increased those skills to expert. They're doing that in other archetypes. Why not this one? You gain the offer story action. Offer story, 1 action, auditory, concentrate, divine, linguistic, mental. Holy storytellers. You share a story of your travels with a creature within 30 feet. You gain the blessing of Israeli as a +1 status bonus to AC and will saves until the end of your next turn. On their next turn, the creature you shared a story with can take a single action which has the auditory, concentrate, linguistic, and mental traits to respond with their own story to gain the same benefits until the end of the following turn. Okay, cool. For dedication, that's good. For some reason, I thought that it would just, like, require that you're next to a campfire. It's probably just the imagery. But for just a dedication ability, that's really good. Because you gain 2 skills, which are both really useful, mostly religion. And you are basically a mini-bard. Next feat, level 4, the Dead Tell Tales. It has the divine trait. New Campfire Chroniclers are inundated with the stories of the ghosts below Pelura's fall and the lessons learned there. You have resistance equal to your level to spirit and void damage caused by a haunt, spirit, or incorporeal undead. The first time you take damage from a haunt or spirit, you learn the general story of its origin, such as the type of tragedy that caused a ghost to linger or what a spirit represents. That is amazing. There's no role involved. In the right adventure, like something that I would run, because I love thaumaturges and haunts, this is critical. Anyway, it might not always be needed in your campaign, but it's still going to come into play at some point because of the resistances. Next feat, level 4, Listener's Boon. Israeli has given you a gift to assist you on your journey. You gain the Domain Initiate feat for the domain of fire, knowledge, protection, or travel. Those are some good domains, especially fire, because it's fun. You can refocus by spending 10 minutes telling stories of your travels or listening to other stories of theirs. You gain the trained proficiency rank in spell attack modifier and spell DC, increasing to expert at 11th level. That's great. Auto increasing. Special, you can select this feat multiple times, selecting a different domain each time and gaining its domain spell. This is just awesome, because I love domain feats. Next level 4 feat, and oh, I gotta say, that also just perfectly fits travelers, adventurers. Next feat, level 4, Raging Stories, has the divine trait. When you offer a story about wild chances and fighting against all odds, so the dedication ability, 1 action, you can wrap yourself in spectral flame in place of the normal benefits. The action then gains the fire trait. Your melee strikes for the duration deal 2 additional fire damage. The creature you share a story with can choose this benefit even if you did not. Neat. The fire damage increases to 4 if you are a master of religion and 6 if you are legendary. Freaking cool. It's a good offensive option to even just help your allies out with the damage they do. Granted, it still takes an action, but there's not any limit on how often you can do this. It would just take an action every turn. Which, yes, can be annoying, but it's basically a sustained spell for either +1 status bonus or damage. It's cool. It's useful. And full of flavor. Next feat, level 6, Cozy Campfire. It has the traits Consecration, Divine, Exploration, and Fire. You spend 1 hour building a campfire in a single unoccupied square and whispering the stories of those you've met on your journeys. The campfire sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for the next 30 feet because it's a fire. The campfire can't be put out or get larger through mundane means. Aw. It instead burns out after your next daily preparations or when you use this ability again. That's a long-lasting fire. The first time each round a creature within the campfire's bright light performs an action with the attack trait, they must then attempt a will save against their class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher. I'm really glad that proviso is there, that it can be spell DC. It's important. This is a divine curse effect, and you are aware of any attempt, although other creatures in the area are not. Critical success. The creature is aware of the effect and can choose to disrupt their action. If they don't disrupt it, the campfire goes out. Success. The creature is aware of the effect and can choose to disrupt their action. If they don't disrupt it, they become temporarily immune to the campfire's effects for 24 hours. Failure. The creature takes a -2 status penalty to the action's attack roll and to all other attack rolls until the beginning of their next turn. Critical failure. The action is disrupted and the creature takes a -2 status penalty to attack rolls until the beginning of their next turn. So this is the peace fire. Peace campfire. We're just sitting around talking. It's a good way to use social skills instead of combat if your group is geared that way. I don't mean like literally with equipment. I mean if that's something that your players are interested in and something that the characters are good at. Otherwise, it's not going to be useful. I don't think so. But in that group, it's extremely useful because on a critical success, the campfire goes out. You know that somebody tried to hurt you or they did do an action, even if you don't observe what it is. Next feat, level 6, Illuminating Stories. It has the divine trait. Stories serve as beacons in the night, illuminating valuable knowledge even if the tale itself misses the mark. When you offer a story about any topic, so the original dedication action, you can choose that illumination in place of the normal benefits of offer story, the valuable knowledge. You receive a +1 status bonus on checks to recall knowledge for the duration and can recall knowledge about the topic of the story as a free action. The creature you share a story with can choose this benefit even if you did not. The bonus increases to +2 if you're a Master of Religion and +3 if you're legendary. This is great because recall knowledge is important in this system. In some cases, it's the only way you will survive. Recall knowledge is a big deal. So this is great. I like this archetype. Next feat, level 8, Flickering Stories. That has the divine trait. Stories, like fires, can create shadows as much as they illuminate. When you offer a story, you can become concealed by shifting shadows for the duration instead of the normal benefits. The action, so now you can have 4 options for the offering a story. The action then gains the shadow trait. You can't use the concealment to hide, as normal for concealing effects that leave your location obvious. The creature you share a story with can choose this benefit even if you did not. So it's harder to hit you. And you can spread that to an ally. This is a very versatile archetype, and it offers domain powers. Next feat, level 10, Tales of the Road. It has the divine trait. The blessings of Israeli connect you to the thrum of the stories that underlie all settlements. When attempting a check to recall knowledge about a city you have visited, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus and can use an associated lore skill, such as Neurosian lore, with your level as your proficiency bonus, even if you're untrained. Oh, cool. That is really cool. Because it doesn't have to be based on any city that you're near. It's just if you pass through a city and has something to do with the adventure, or if your adventure is based in a city, this is going to commonly be useful. Make sure you talk with your GM before taking this feat, though. Because GMs have to be aware of the fact that you need some way of tying in the adventure with a city, and they can build that road for you. But they need to know, because not all GMs will bother, or care, or know that it matters. So this is a communicating with the GM thing, but it's cool. Because you get to add a lot to it, even if you didn't actually take a lore for a city. Last feat, level 14, Stories of Home, has the traits Auditory, Divine Exploration, Healing, Linguistic, Mental. Frequency once per day. You share the joy of every story of long-awaited homecoming you've offered to Israeli. You can spend 10 minutes sharing this joy with your allies within 30 feet. You and those allies regain hit points equal to their Constitution modifier, minimum 1, times their level, and recover from the doomed, drained, and fatigued conditions as though they had a full night's rest, though they gain no other benefits associated with having a full night's rest, like getting spells back or whatever. But this is awesome. This is just in the middle of the day, in the middle of the day, between fights, you just basically recover for a night. This is a great way to take stress off of a healer in your party, or to just provide the healing for these conditions that a healer could provide if you don't have one in your group. Not everybody needs a healer, but it's nice. Really nice. So all in all, not everyone who takes Campfire Chronicler will take all of the feats in the archetype. However, there are enough feats here that offer versatility that this archetype can fit so many different needs, so many different niches, and the primary ability is one action. Granted, it's an action every turn, it's basically sustainability. But there's no limit on how often you can use it, and remember also that the additional feat, Advanced Domain, is part of this archetype. So if you only care about the domains, then instead of taking the Cleric archetype, you could take this. And far more easily get the domain powers, because normally Advanced Domain is an 8th level Cleric feat. If you're taking the Cleric archetype, you have to wait till 16th level to take this feat. But if you're taking the Campfire Chronicler archetype, then you can take it at 8th level. Granted, it's limited in what domains you can take, but those are some useful domains. I love this, and I want to work it into the NPC in the live stream, but I don't think I can. Because I already built a story for him, and yes, this would work, but I'd have to sacrifice story for more story. I can't do it. Anyway, this is the archetype that Jake would take if he were in the game. So, Campfire Chronicler offers versatility, buffing your allies, doing extra damage, healing people, and getting domain powers at earlier than taking a Cleric archetype. I really like this. It's very good. It's a good archetype. And I don't always say that. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes they suck. Sometimes they have major glaring flaws. I think the only thing that I would change about this one, and it's not a big deal, but in my games I would change it because it makes it a little bit cooler, is that when you first take the dedication is you become trained in religion and survival. If you already had either of those, then you'd become expert in those instead. That's the only difference I would make. That's the only change I would make. That shows you that it's a really good archetype in my eyes. Thank you for letting me borrow your time and your eyes. If you're a patron, thank you for being here every month and taking care of this channel. I'm grateful for it, and so are the kitties. If you want an opportunity to win cool-looking dice, you can check out Patreon. The link's in the description. If you pledge $5 or more a month, then you get entered into a drawing to win stuff like this. Or like the little dragon behind me that I can't reach. This is there. Just trust me. Oh, thanks. Little dragon. These things are so cool. I love having so many toys in here. So this is something that you can win if you're a patron. So check out Patreon below and Discord, because come chat with us, because we like making more friends. If you want to see the rest of the Rival Academies videos, they're here. If you want to check out the Stolen Fate live streams, you should probably start at square one, the first one. I will see you in the next video or in Discord. You become trained in religion and Fuck.